Good afternoon, Club 17. Welcome. We've got a great program today. Glad that you're a part of it. You're joining us. We've got a number of people on Zoom, and we're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And to lead us in our invocation and four-way test today, we've got Jim Hudson. Jim?
Good afternoon, everyone. Let's pray for a moment. Lord, we thank you for this time of year, a time of reflection. Lots going on this last year, looking back, but also a time to look ahead. This week, I'm particularly thankful for the legacy of this club and all the kids' lives that have been touched through the years with the Condon School Holiday Party. Even though we couldn't be with the kids this year physically in a typical way, we pray that these tokens of kindness and generosity through the gifts we provided will be a vessel to let those kids know how special they are to us and in your eyes as well. And we pray for your blessing on today's virtual meeting and on our upcoming virtual meetings while we're using this format. May the content of our speakers encourage, inspire, as well as help us build the resiliency we'll need in the days, weeks, and months ahead. Amen. Now let's all remember and be focused on a daily basis our four-way test, which is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerns? Thanks, Brett.
Thanks, Jim. And now we've got Dan Long, who's going to come to the podium. He's the head of our general recruiting and marketing effort in the club. We appreciate all that he and Deanne Fleming and Melinda Kelly are doing and others on that larger committee. So Dan, go ahead and lead us with the sponsor drawing, if you would.
Thank you, President Brett. Oh, I forgot to put on my bib. This is a Montgomery Inn bib. You know, when you reach into the bowl to pick out the winner of the $100 gift certificate, your hands get awfully messy with the Montgomery Inn sauce, so I brought this bib along. I guess it could double up as a mask, too, if I wanted to. But we're very grateful to the Rotarians that have brought a prospective member to a meeting this year, or have brought a prospective member to a Zoom meeting, either at your house or at your office. And certainly encourage everyone to think about recruiting for this upcoming year. If you feel uncomfortable, we totally get it. But please spend time and think of someone within your circle that you would like to bring to a Rotary meeting when we open back up, or bring them to your house, or bring them to your office, and for them to actually experience a meeting. And this is a drawing for a $100 gift certificate from Montgomery Inn, and we will be doing this the last meeting of every month. So Brett, if you wouldn't mind doing the drawing for me. Okay, and the winner of the first 100 Montgomery Inn gift certificate is Lisa Blaney Gazaway, who's actually a member of our committee as well. So Lisa, thank you very much, and I'm sure we will send you your gift certificate. Thank you very much. Thank you, President Brett.
And Dan, thanks again for what you're doing on membership development. Much appreciated. Glad to see that I think every month this year, since we started the new Rotary year July 1st, we've had at least one new member join the club. Great to have new members joining, and great for all those who are sponsoring and inviting them in. So now we've got a number of announcements. First of all, we've got some birthdays to celebrate this week. December 8th, Bill Shula. December 11th, Roger Swanger and Josh Ruth. December 12th, Barry Evans and Melody Weil. December 13th, Dan Riccardi. And December 14th, Madeline Lajeunesse. Please join me in wishing them a happy birthday. So we've got some exciting things going on in our club. And one of the areas, we did a member survey in October, and the board has been looking through that. And one of the many comments was, can we do more with professional development? And as club members know, every year we kick off new professional development. In just a minute, I'm going to describe a little bit more what we're doing there. But we also have another effort underway, which is an environmental sustainability task force. And that team has been working hard. You're going to hear more in January in terms of possible projects for our club. But one of the things that's come out of that environmental task force is a seminar series. And Ariel Miller of our club is the spark plug behind that. The name of the series is Sustainable City Seminar. We had the first one last week. It was great. And the second one is this coming Tuesday, December 15th at 7:30 p.m. on Zoom. It's an hour long, and the key speaker will be Thomas Schultz. Thomas was going to report on the 2030 project in Cincinnati, and it's a collaboration of 37 businesses and nonprofits, including Procter & Gamble and Kroger, who've committed to reduce the energy use, water use, transportation emissions of their buildings, facilities by 50% by 2030. And that portfolio of what they're working on as a team represents over 300 properties and almost 26 million square feet in the Cincinnati area. So big project, should have some great outcomes. So again, Thomas Schultz is the speaker. What we do is, what Ariel does is have the first half hour for presentation, and after that, just open it up for questions. And this is open not just to Club 17 Rotary members, but anybody in the community who wants to join on Zoom. If you're interested, you need to email the Rotary office. Christy will make sure you get the right link at the right time to join that meeting next Tuesday night. And we've got a whole speaker lineup. As I said, this is the second in a series. The lineup of all 5 is in E-Raise this week. So again, encourage you to join, encourage you to invite any friends or colleagues to join. And actually, if you know any students, I'd say grade 7 or older, invite them to join too. It's a great series. And now, Rotary Professional Development Series, which I mentioned a minute ago. Terry Dean of our club is the chair of that committee. He has been working on a great series of 3 seminars. Each is 1 session long. The first one is January 14th. It's What's Your Elevator Speech? And the instructor is Betsy Kent. She's the author of The Ideal Client Expert. So again, that's January 14th. It'll be in the period just before Rotary lunch on the 14th, starting 10:15 and ending at 11:30. And the second in the series is February 11th, and the title of that is COVID and its Impact on Commercial Real Estate in Greater Cincinnati. And the facilitator and teacher is Doug Bolton, our very own Doug Bolton. Again, that's February 11th. And then March 11th, you probably know that Rotary has a partnership with Toastmasters International. And on March 11th, our very own Hux Miller will lead a class on Do You Avoid Public Speaking? And I know Hux is a member of Toastmasters and has a lot of experience. So again, 3 great professional development seminars coming up, starting with the first January 14th. If you want to register, please do so ahead of time. Contact the office. You'll see it announced in E-Raise this week. Space will be limited, so please make sure to get your registration in, again, to the Rotary office. Now, switching gears entirely, and Jim Hudson mentioned this a few minutes ago, there is a wonderful holiday party at Condon School on Tuesday. And of course, with the pandemic, gears had to be shifted to do it right, but it was quite an event. A number of children came. It was a drive-through holiday event, and you wouldn't believe the number of mascots we had out there. It was a lot of fun. We had Gary from FC Cincinnati, Mighty Mouse, who was portrayed by none other than our foundation president, Carl Kappas. We had Twister and Puck Chop, courtesy of member Dan Grunberg and the Cyclones. We had Mr. Redlegs, courtesy of our member Owen Rassman and also the Reds Community Fund. And Frisch's Big Boy, which is one of our corporate member companies, was good enough to let the real big boy come and be part of that celebration. So special thanks to our Frisch's members, Jason Vaughn, Sherry Harper, and Lee Wall. And also many thanks to Terry Boeing and Brad Green, who co-chaired the holiday party, and Christy for all of her work behind the scenes. It was just great to see the students, the families, great to see so many faculty members and staff members come dressed in holiday garb. It was really a fun time. And if you haven't seen some of the photos yet, there's a great shot of a dog owned by Jerry and Nancy Reese. His name is Roman. He's a Great Pyrenees, big dog dressed up as an elf. And special thanks to Bob McElroy and also to Angie Fisher and Allie Hubbard, who, Bob being Santa and Angie and Allie being his elves. They did a great job handing gifts to all the students who came. So it wasn't our traditional party, but it sure was fun. It was great. And next December, I think we'll all be back to the traditional way of doing it. So thank you to all the club members who purchased gifts for this. You brought a lot of joy to a lot of children. And now, members in the news, congratulations goes out to Rotarian David Ahrens and his new wife, Meg, who were married on Saturday, December 6th in Scottsdale, Arizona, surrounded by their 4 beautiful daughters. And next week's meeting, we've got Santa and the Cincinnati Chamber Orchestra. And how can you go wrong with a combo like that? So now I'd like to switch gears and talk about today's program. We're very fortunate to have with us Jackie Reau. Jackie is the CEO and co-founder of Game Day. And Game Day is an award-winning multimedia marketing firm based in Cincinnati. She founded that 19 years ago, and the firm specializes in strategic communications, media relations, sports marketing, influencer relations, event marketing, sponsorship activation, and media training. And Jackie has more than 25 years of total experience in marketing and public relations management. And before she founded her own firm, she was the director of marketing and public relations at the Cincinnati Art Museum. And before that was a public relations professional at the Christ Hospital in Cincinnati. Jackie holds a bachelor's degree in journalism from Ohio University, as well as a master's degree in sports administration from OU as well. She has also completed the Harvard Business School's program, Strategic Perspectives in Nonprofit Management, and Northwestern's program, Data Marketing and Artificial Intelligence. She serves as an adjunct professor at Xavier, and she is the past chair of the board of the Cincinnati Sports Commission. She is also a past member of the Ohio University National Alumni Board, and she serves on a number of boards currently, including Camp Joy, Ensemble Theater of Cincinnati, Mount St. Joe's, OU, Reds Community Fund, and the YWCA of Greater Cincinnati. She is one busy person. So please join me in welcoming Jackie Reau to Rotary.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's an honor to be here and a real treat to join you on Zoom. We enjoyed a wonderful meal here at the Hilton Netherlands. So here comes my clicker. Thank you, Christy. Okay, great. Thank you. Good. So, I hope everyone is staying healthy and safe out there during the pandemic. And as I was thinking about what I should share with you today, I really started thinking about just the leadership that certainly your Rotary Club provides to our city and our community. You just heard that from the president's comments. And so I started looking back through a diary that I started March 12th, when really we started learning about the pandemic, and looked back over the last, 9 months or so, and really started to really look at trends in leadership from our clients and from those nonprofit partners that we work with. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. So the presentation is called Crisis in Leadership, Lessons Learned. On March 12th, I called our small but mighty team at game day into our conference room. There's about 12 of us. And I said, this is getting really dire and interesting. You know, restaurants were facing closure, in-dining closure. You know, we were stay-at-home orders and mandates were coming down that we'd never seen anything like this. And I really knew something was going on when the Arnold Fitness Expo in Columbus canceled. And that, as you know, is an international sporting event for not only the city of Columbus, but for the state of Ohio. It's a huge economic impact driver. And that's when I knew we were serious. And I thought for our team, yeah, this will be a couple weeks, take home your laptop, any office supplies you need, and we'll conduct business from our home offices. I had never even learned about Zoom or used Zoom prior to that week. And of course now it's a way of life for all of us, certainly on this meeting. And, we've really, I'm very proud of our team. I'm very proud of our clients in terms of their use of creativity, innovation, and just the support that they have given not only their employees, their teammates, their customers, but the community at large. And so that's really what I'll talk about today. Just by way of introduction for Game Day, we are a media and marketing agency with clients like ArtsWave, the Flying Pig Marathon, Disabled American Veterans, Frisch's Big Boy, who you mentioned. We love seeing Big Boy at Condon. That was terrific. And so what I'll do is I'll take those lessons learned from some of those leaders that I just mentioned. And really a lot of it was communications and being transparent, and certainly being a open and honest leader, really anticipating what tomorrow might look like, because we really all didn't know what tomorrow would look like in many instances. And it's often been said, don't let a crisis go to waste. Don't let a crisis go to waste. And really, I've thought about that a lot, and I really just try to find the silver lining of COVID every day, because if you didn't, I think you would cry yourself to sleep. So as business leaders, I know you will enjoy hearing about these leaders and how they handled adversity. So here's just a quick list. I'm sure many of these faces look familiar to you. In the concerns with issuing a list like this is you always forget someone. So these were the 8 leaders that really came to mind for me, but please know there are hundreds of other leaders in our community that have done amazing work. I think really the lessons learned would be these 4. Many of these leaders were already 3 steps ahead of the pandemic, but they just didn't know it. They had been working on strategic goals, new initiatives within their company, and the pandemic really shortened the timeline. I think all of them are risk tolerant, within reason, of course. They are terrific communicators, both internally and externally, and really have gone above and beyond, in my opinion, their community and industry leadership. I think you heard from Brittany Ruby Miller a couple weeks ago when she presented, but the restaurant industry, which is a vital industry, not just in our state, but in our nation, and the restaurant community provides 51% of our state's food source. So it is important for restaurants to continue to function, to be successful, to serve us, to service our food needs. Brittany had to make probably the toughest decision of her career in laying off 600 of her her colleagues. And these, this is a small family business, and so these were family. Many have worked for Mr. Ruby for decades. So I remember her calling me and saying, you know what, I want to be the voice for restaurants, not just Jeff Ruby restaurants, but all restaurants, certainly in the state of Ohio and nationally. And I said, okay, let's go. And she did. She has spent hundreds of hours advocating for restaurants, doing media interviews, crafting legislation, both statewide and federally. She has been on several phone calls with Senators Portman, McConnell, because as you know, she's got restaurants in 3 states. And I've just been very, very proud of her leadership, just how she's handling the situation, her command of what it takes and what restaurants need in terms of federal aid. And she's continuing to be just a terrific member of Governor DeWine's task force and really giving of herself, the community, and the industry. So Brittany Ruby Miller has certainly been an inspiration in leadership for me. I'm going to stay on the restaurant, seeing Jason Vaughn, CEO of Frisch's Big Boy. Again, another terrific leader. Over 100 restaurants in Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky. And Jason, I think, is a visionary whose idea and plan got fast-tracked, thankfully. And I remember sitting in a focus group with Jason. We were doing focus groups of guests, non-guests, for Frisch's about 1.5 years ago. And in between, when the folks were leaving the room, he said, yeah, I've got this idea where we would sell toilet paper. We would sell milk. We might sell eggs. You could get it through the drive-through or home delivery through DoorDash. And I thought, that's interesting. Frisch's is going to sell toilet paper. Okay, yeah, great. Well, Jason's idea, called Big Boy Market, was launched days after in-dining closed, restaurants in-dining closed. And thankfully, he did. He was the first restaurant group in America to launch a grocery service so folks could get milk, eggs, cereal, toilet paper. And this is when grocery stores were compromised in terms of just how they could get things on the shelf. So he has been rightfully so recognized by national industry publications and media, and then just last week was named CEO of the Year by the Business Courier. So incredible leadership from Jason Vaughn. Iris Simpson-Bush. Iris runs the Flying Pig Marathon. And of course, many of you know this race, and I'm sure have participated in it yourself. And this race was always the first Sunday in May. It was moved to October and then deemed only virtual. And this is the #1 race in America. There's an industry website called BibRaves that tracks and monitors all marathons in America. And so the Flying Pig was just named the #1 marathon in America. And this is, again, another important event for our community. Every year, $15 million economic impact. This event fills our downtown hotels. The one I'm standing in right here is virtually sold out every year. And the restaurants, the shops that these folks that come in from around the world to run the Flying Pig. So Iris was very instrumental in making sure that the virtual event wasn't compromised with just the swag and the personal approach that the Flying Pig Marathon takes and people love and admire. So, kudos to her. Big, really hard decision to go only virtual. And 20,000 people participated at full rate, which was tremendous. It really was for our community. Mark Burgess, he is the CEO of the Disabled American Veterans, which is headquartered over in Cold Spring, Kentucky. And this was to be a momentous occasion for DAV, their 100th anniversary of their founding year here in Cincinnati, over at Memorial Hall. Many, many plans were being planned, and people were excited about it. There was going to be a joint concert with the Cincinnati Pops at Music Hall. They were going to bring in their veteran leadership from around the country to celebrate this. They go back 100 years with Ford Automobile Company, and Ford donated the first vehicles to DAV that would allow DAV to go out and help transport veterans to doctor's appointments or wherever they might go. So there was going to be a huge Ford parade, and all of this, of course, was postponed and is rescheduled for next year, hopefully. But what I love about Mark's leadership here is he immediately launched a $2 million campaign to help veterans who may have lost their job during COVID. And actually, I checked in on this morning, and they actually raised over $3 million and were able to distribute checks to over 8,000 veterans. So again, amazing work from the DAV. And you can see they had to move their DAV 5K, which usually takes place Veterans Day weekend at the banks, to an all virtual. And they had the highest ever participation, which is a terrific testament to DAV and just the important work they do. Kristen Schlotman, she is our film commissioner in Cincinnati. And obviously the film world shut down, not just here, but around the country, around the world. And this is a $1 million major industry for Cincinnati and the state of Ohio, of which Kristen has led for 20 years. And what I love about Kristen's leadership is she early on saw all of the unemployment concerns that were happening within the industry, from photographers to makeup artists, hairstyle, caterers. I mean, there's dozens of people who work on films here locally. And she launched a fund, was able to raise almost $50,000 to then distribute this back out to the industry, which was tremendous. She's also been very instrumental on helping set what new health and safety guidelines should be when film production returns. And so she's been participating in a citywide task force that has then gone statewide, and she's also been participating on some national panels to really set the benchmark for new safety guidelines for the film industry. And then, she would tell you, she's got a full docket of film production that is slated to schedule to start shooting next year. So she's continued to sell Cincinnati as a film destination from her home office, and has done very well. So terrific lessons in leadership from Kristen. Eric Kearney, he's the leader of the largest African American Chamber of Commerce in our region, and has really taken an amazing leadership role in the community in terms of supporting Black businesses, small businesses, not just during the pandemic, but with protests that were going on, and with just helping these small businesses really understand what federal aid and state and local aid through the CARES Act could look like, and helping these small businesses navigate those waters that are very complex, very just rigorous in terms of understanding how to access that funding. And he's also worked with local community leaders, corporate leaders, to establish new funding opportunities for members, several funding opportunities, especially for those small businesses that he serves so well. And then, they didn't want to lose sight of honoring local Black businesses, so they moved their awards ceremony to a virtual event and had terrific support and participation in that, almost doubling what they would see from an in-person event. So I think, we can all applaud Eric for everything that he continues to do for our community. Alicia Kintner, this has not been an easy year for the arts in our community, and we are so proud of our arts and just how they make Cincinnati so vibrant, greater Cincinnati. I think the arts were the first to really close down in that March 10th, 12th timeframe, and they haven't opened up. And, Broadway is saying maybe it'll open up next fall. So Broadway's kind of the gold standard of what arts groups follow in terms of those protocols these days. But what I love about Alicia's leadership is just, she was right in the middle of the annual campaign, the largest United Appeal for the Arts in the country, raising $12 million annually, which is a big load to lift. And she successfully met that campaign with her cabinet and amazing community leadership from the corporate community and certainly individual gifts. But what Alicia is doing now is really creating new funding opportunities for big and small groups, and is really, I would say, that leader that an Eric Kearney is for his chamber businesses, but she's galvanized the arts community, the arts leadership, and really helped them to navigate through these waters of COVID. And Barbara Perez, I will close here. Barbara's the president and CEO of YWCA Greater Cincinnati, and COVID has had a major effect on the YWCA. As you know, they have domestic violence shelters that they run for families seeking shelter. Well, those shelters are not set up or built for social distancing. So they had to move these families, dozens of families, to area hotels. And basically, it's $80,000 in monthly dollars that they did not have budgeted, they did not have on the books. And they've also added security, and there's also food service that they've added. So this is terrific leadership from Barbara that she and her team were able to pivot to really change their fundraising model to support the shelters. I would also tell you that her program team has been in overdrive as well, because calls to the domestic violence shelter or hotline have increased by 50%. So, these are not good numbers. And then, the YWCA's mission is certainly to help eradicate racism, and she was a really early champion on the declaration of racism as a public health issue, working closely with Hamilton County commissioners and city council members who publicly declared that. So her work continues there as a terrific nonprofit leader during, probably the strangest time that she will ever see in her career, and I've just been really impressed with her communication in terms of being a leader on domestic violence and protecting our families who need that help. So as I wrap up, and certainly would love to continue this discussion with any questions, I want you to think about your own leadership and how you've managed during the pandemic. And maybe, have a conversation with, a loved one tonight over dinner. And, what does this look like? What did you like about your leadership, and what might you improve upon during this pandemic? And then any questions, or if you'd like to certainly continue the conversation, I welcome an email or a LinkedIn. I think this is such a terrific organization for our city, and appreciate all of your leadership, those who are on the Zoom call, and certainly sitting at the dais next to me. I thank you for your time, and I think maybe we have a few questions. Okay, terrific.
Okay. Jackie, the first question is from Doug Bolton in our club. And he says, what guidance are you giving leaders on how to plan for 2021? In-person events versus virtual again? Work from home versus work at home? Mental health for leaders?
Yeah, great questions, Doug. I think, and we were just chatting about this, Brett, I think 2021 is going to be the year of the hybrid. I really do. I think we're not just going to flip a switch when the vaccines start coming out. And I think it's all about consumer confidence and how confident you feel about going to the event here at the Hilton. Or would you rather just stay in your home office on Zoom? And I think either way is okay. It's it's your call, your personal call, and how you feel health and for your health and safety. But I will say I'm advising all of our clients to think in a hybrid approach. And we're all so used to Zoom now, and it's a way of life. And, I think, again, I try to find the silver lining in everything. But I've had so much, I would say, entertainment and interaction with people I probably never would ever have, right? So whether it's a free streaming concert from the Cincinnati Pops or, I was on a call the other day with Forbes and Melinda Gates is on the call. I probably would not have had the opportunity to be on a call with Melinda Gates. So, you try to find the silver lining. But I do think mental health is imperative, that we should all kind of just, take a deep breath over the holidays and hunker down. But events like the Flying Pig Marathon, those fitness events where you can get out, you can do training on your own, you can, walk a 5K, do a mile, do a marathon, I think are really important for our mental health. So I would encourage everyone to, think about the physical side of things as well.
So, and just a reminder to people who are on Zoom, the greeters on Zoom have my cell phone number. Just text me a question, and I'll be glad to bring it up with Jackie. And we've got another one, Jackie. Let me open this. It's more of just a comment. Excellent, empowering presentation. Cincinnati, proud for what it does during a pandemic. And I think we all are. And I have a question for you. So you work with many different types of organizations in public relations and marketing efforts. And here you're talking about getting through a crisis, getting through something very different. Mm-hmm. I would think that every one of those organizations has the challenge of how do they stay in touch with their members, their stakeholders, and what are some of the things you've seen done that you think are particularly effective or creative?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the virtual event is here to stay for, next year or two or whatever. And I think, I'll give you one example. Lynn Myers, who's the artistic director at Ensemble Theater, and she's been doing a number of Zoom lunches. Thursdays at noon, she's probably just finishing hers today. You can Zoom in with Lynn, and you can chat about the theater. She'll give you an update, ask any questions. Maybe if you're a subscriber, you would like that information. But then she also does a bi-weekly email where she shares her thoughts and reflections. And then they've also done some virtual programming. They did a virtual fundraiser last Friday night and raised over $50,000. And that's a lot of money for a theater like Ensemble Theater. So I would encourage all of you who are on the call to really think about how you can support and maybe go above and beyond this year our nonprofits, whether it's an Arts Wave or a DAV, YWCA, those great organizations doing amazing work in our city, because now is the time they really, really need your support.
Good, thank you. And another question from Nancy Reese of our club. And you answered part of this, I think, already, but what habits, new ways of doing things do you think we will carry forward with us post-pandemic?
That's a good question, Nancy. I think Zoom is here to stay. I really do. I think 2020 has really inspired a lot of innovation. Would I ever think that a waiter would leave the floor of a Jeff Ruby restaurant and bring me a steak Collinsworth to my door? No, I would never have thought that. But it is happening, and it is available to us. So I think leaders like Brittany, like Jason Vaughn, have really taken their creativity, their innovation, and their supply chain, for that matter, to get it out to market remarkably quickly.
Good. And I've got another question.
Okay, fire away.
So if you think about game day and the services and what you provide to your clients, in normal times, you probably have different types of crisis plans, communication things, because things come up unexpectedly. And now, of course, we're in this pandemic, which has been 10 months already. What do you see the difference when you get a call from a client now in the midst of this versus in a typical kind of non-pandemic time? Is it the same kind of work you've been doing, or if it's different, how is it different?
Well, first of all, nobody ever calls Jackie Reau just to say hi, I feel like. So, so I'd love for that. Call me, just say hi, how you doing? It's always something's gone sideways, as they say. But I got as you said in my intro, I got my start in healthcare at Christ Hospital, one of the best places on earth I could have ever launched my career, and every day was a potential life and death crisis. That's the nature of healthcare. So I learned early on to plan, to think ahead, to try to be 3 steps ahead, and once you have the plan and things do go sideways, there's something on paper that you can at least have a roadmap. I will say social media has exacerbated a lot of things, especially crisis, and some things are not portrayed correctly, so I do a lot of correction. I do a lot of, I didn't even know, I feel like I've written the guidebook for how to use COVID-19 and pandemic and, all caps and all that. But, Rich on our team, who is a masterful writer, and he was Jim Scott's producer for years, if you know Jim. And we call him the Grim Reaper because he's probably sent out a news release to cancel every major event in the city you can imagine. Taste of Cincinnati, Oktoberfest, Flying Pig Marathon, Western and Southern Open, I mean, you name it. And so, there's just been a lot of, and the word pivoting that's got to go out of my vocabulary, but there's been a lot of creative thinking, communicating, that I think has made us better professionals in serving our clients.
Good, thank you. And another question from Molly Rydell. Do you think any companies will require COVID vaccinations for employees? So this draws on your Christ Hospital experience and your game day experience.
That's a tricky one. I was in the office today, and it's my business partner Betsy and I have been the only ones in the office of our 12. And our maintenance man was on the elevator when I left our office to come here, and we scared each other because we haven't seen, each other in I don't know how months, and nobody's at Longworth Hall, and we were remarking on that, and I said, well, do you really want to pay to clean every day and all that? I said, I feel more comfortable having my colleagues stay at home, where they're comfortable and managing themselves. I think it's going to be really hard for a company to mandate a vaccination. I will be the first in line once it's my turn, for sure. I think most of my colleagues would join me in that line, but I think it's a personal preference, and I think you have to obviously take care of your own personal health and safety. So I don't want to go there, but I think it'd be really hard for a company to mandate that. I may be wrong.
Yeah. Well, listen, I just want to say thank you so much for your presentation. Thank you for what you're doing to help so many organizations through a very tough time. And it is refreshing to hear how well Cincinnati organizations are adjusting and even, I'd say, thriving in terms of fundraising and other things, just like normal times.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing.
It
So,
really is.
Jackie, thank you so much for that presentation.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Don't go too far away. So Jackie and I were talking before lunch a bit, and she has been to Rotary on different occasions over the years. It was always good to hear that. And one of the things about Rotary that you probably know, Jackie, is we've got areas of goals and focus. One of those is fighting disease, and we've had an international campaign since the 1980s to eradicate polio. And the effort has been so effective that now it's down to just 2 countries that have polio, Afghanistan and Pakistan. So in our appreciation of you speaking to us today, we are making a donation in your honor to the Rotary International End Polio Now campaign.
Oh, thank you.
And the other thing in terms of Rotary is our club, as you know, is working to improve the lives of others. And we've been doing that year after year ever since we were founded 100 years ago. It's something that we keep focusing on, something that not only we get better at, but we also enjoy the opportunity to be of service. And our theme this year in Rotary is Rotary Opens Opportunities. And you have worked with many organizations, many people, many leaders to help them continue to open opportunities for others. So to recognize what you're doing, we want to give you a Rotary Opens Opportunities pin. And just a reminder, we'll have a meeting next week. Wear your ugliest holiday sweater. We are looking forward to having Santa here and members of the Cincinnati Chamber Orchestra. It'll be a lot of fun. I want to thank everybody for joining the meeting today, and have a great weekend. I forgot to ring the bell at the beginning of this meeting, so I'm going to ring it twice. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.